This is the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus. I am Gus, and Jeff is... Where are you,
Right
Jeff?
here.
Oh my God, there
Right
he is.
here.
That scared me. Just kidding. So we have a guest today, our first guest on the show, and it is Emi Boz, artist Emi
Woo!
Boz.
Oh, there's no pressure. I didn't know I was the first guest.
Well,
Oh yeah, we know what we're doing.
yeah,
Okay, cool.
we're like in episode 4, and
hmm
we have other guests booked, but you're
Right.
the first one.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd feel less special now.
We
First
wanted to,
and the
yeah,
best.
Oh, see, Jeff saved it.
definitely. So yeah, today's episode is all about living as a full-time artist, and Jeff selected that idea, and I like it.
It's a good
And
idea.
you live as a full-time artist.
hmm
I live as a full-time artist, and
Mhm.
Jeff, why don't you guide us through, since this was your theme?
Yeah, so just so everybody knows, Emmy is obviously a full-time artist, and she's been making lots of art for a long time. So, Emmy, to get to a point in your life where you're able to live off your art full-time, I guess, why don't you just kind of talk about kind of how you got your start and maybe like at what point you realized that this is something that you wanted to do for a living?
Let me think. I was working all the time as a waitress back when I was younger. I was a waitress for about 10 years. No, wait, 7 years. I'm really bad at math. Spoiler alert. I was a waitress from the time I was 16 to the time I was about 22, and I would make art all the time on my free time, and sometimes I would go do conventions, like Otakon, things like that. And I would sell my art, and I really loved it, but it was really hard to work all the time and do that. And I just really always wanted to sell my art and just be an artist. But, obviously it's scary too to do that because you never know where the money's coming from and all that fun stuff. And you're like, oh, people like this. And then I met Gus, and he said, hey, you should quit your job as being a waitress and you should focus full time on art if that's where your passion is. And at the time, it made me really angry and scared because I had to make money, and I was like, that's such a rude thing to say, just like quit. That's such a scary thing to just stop working. And then, but I did about probably like 6 months later, and I have not looked back.
Wow,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, you should quit that waitress's stuff.
Yeah.
Join the art capade.
That was
But
that was a pretty good impression of Gusta when you did that. That was
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you get to be an artist and you just wake up one day and you're successful. It was this thing like, if you're going to quit, you have to figure out how to make this work. You have to figure that out, and that basically means working every single waking, breathing second, and you don't separate it from your life.
So what was your initial plan? Was it because that back then I think it was probably like eBay was the biggest way to get your art in front of people. Were you doing, like you said, like you did some conventions and stuff? Were you doing any kind of gallery stuff or fine art kind of things, or was it more like poppy, like prints and things like that?
I did a few little gallery shows. They were really rinky dink though, but I was still excited that, to do like little local galleries and stuff like that. But started doing a lot of conventions, like just filling my calendar up with conventions. I think at one point it was like between like 3 and 5 a month. Like it felt like almost every weekend. It was a lot of conventions, like New York, and then travel to like Georgia and Chicago, all the Wizard Worlds, just like doing them. It was like nonstop. So every weekend we were usually busy like selling art at conventions, and that's how we were getting like a good fan base, was that people were like finding us at conventions. They know we'd be there. They'd like be like, "Are you coming back next year? Are you going to be here for the mid-year thing?" So it was like just traveling constantly, doing conventions. Like I felt like half the time I felt like we lived on the road, and just like, because we'd just be like home and then gone and then home and then gone, and that was, I think, the best way to get people to find us. And then they'd find us on like Facebook, and they'd find us on when we used to sell stuff on eBay and all that stuff. So I think that really helped. Did I answer the question? I get
Yeah,
like lost in my
yeah. No, I think that gives people a good idea.
yeah. So that was how I did it. Getting in front, like the Wizard Worlds were super fun to work. Those were my favorite ones back in the day when we would do them.
So building a client base seemed like I don't know if you'll call it client base, but a fan base
Hmm.
seems kind of important. So anybody that just wants to like quit their day job and go into it, I guess the first thing would be get your stuff in front of people and
Hmm.
kind of start building up an audience. Would you say that would be a good
Yeah,
approach?
it's a good way to gauge how people respond to your art because it's easy to put something on Facebook and have like your aunts and grandmoms be like, "I love it," but like you put it in front of total strangers that don't know you and don't have to be nice to you. In person, you can see reactions and you can hear people's comments on stuff, so you can kind of figure out what's working and what isn't working.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like for example, this is back in the day. I used to have this print that I would sell all the time called Batman. It was like a Superman cheers up Batman with his rainbow breath, and it was just like Superman blasting Batman in the face with a rainbow. And I drew it kind of sloppily on purpose, but people really liked the message. They liked the font. They thought it was hilarious that Superman had rainbow breath. And I would hear that maybe 50 times a convention, and then it started to drive me insane because I hear it. They'd walk past my table, they go, haha, sometimes Superman uses his rainbow breath to cheer up Batman, and then they'd be like, cool. But then a lot of times they'd end up buying it because it made them happy.
So
So
you never really know what's gonna hit the fans because when you were making that piece, were you thinking, "Wow, this is gonna be a hit"?
no, not at all. I was thinking, I was like a Friday night. I was like, this is stupid, and I just did it to make myself laugh. And then everybody else that saw it was like, this is the best thing ever. And I was like, really? So, but I'm glad it made people happy.
Wow, nice. And
Hmm.
and Gus, you're also a full-time artist. So,
Yeah.
do you have experiences like that too, where you're making something and you're like, this thing's all right, but then people go nuts about it?
Yeah, I definitely had some hits that I wasn't sure was going to be successful, and I think one of the things I've always done is tried everything in my way. And what I mean by that is like I've sold straw wrappers, a lot of them. I sold sugar packets, cardboard. You kind of almost name it. I've dabbled in it, and that's it's let me find little weird areas that no one else was trying, which is definitely a good thing that will make you stick out. But yeah, I can't think of any like. Well, when I've done toys, I remember creating different characters, and then my favorite character would not be the favorite character of all the people. And what that would make me do is it would make me like the fan favorite would ultimately become my favorite. It was a weird psychology thing, and like over time, I didn't even think about the characters I loved at first. So, yeah, it's weird. You never know what the hit is. I guess that's with any kind of art creation. I hear musicians say that all the time. They're like, I didn't know that was going to be a hit song, and then it was. Um, but yeah, but sometimes I just feel like I know it's a good piece, and then it is. But there's always that question. You're almost kind of scared at times. You're like, will people like this? And
Yeah,
then
it's definitely like you're making something. I have that happen all the time. I'll go, I don't know if I like this. I think, is this a mistake? Are people going to hate this? And then like you look at it and people are like, this is the best thing ever, and you're like, what? Really? Okay, that's
yeah, one situation I could think of now is I made this art print. I made a video for this art print, and I held on to the video for like a year, and it just as like a for Instagram and to share it with people. And I was always kind of scared to show. I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weak. And then it's one of my most successful prints now. So that was just kind of I was scared about it, like what they would say and all that. So you never know.
And and Gus, you're saying you've done toys and stuff. Emmy, besides like prints, like what other kind of stuff are you dabbling in besides like kind of illustration or watercolor?
well, I'll make like prototypes a lot for toys. Like we made toys and stuff. I helped do. I designed a little bead, jewelry bead line of my little fat unicorn guys. made like some books and some apparel and stuff like that. It's just like I'm kind of all over the place between like sculpting stuff and making things and
You ju- you
designing
you
stuff.
you just signed a deal for apparel in
Oh
France.
yeah, duh, yeah. I signed a small deal with a ugh, words not working. I signed a small deal with a French apparel company where they took several, about 10 of my images, and they're making like fashion stuff with it. And then they said, as long as they're happy with it, they'll do more with me in the future. So that they just put that out, I think, yesterday.
Ooh,
But
very couture.
Frenchy.
So is that stuff that happens all the time where you just kind of get these like things out of the blue, or is that something you were pursuing?
I was not pursuing it. They found me. They found me and they were like, "Hey, we really like your art. Let's work on something." It's usually, I don't ever really pursue anything. I just put it out there, and people have been finding me through just like social media and whatnot. But half the time it's like a crazy person, half the time it's a legit person. You never can really tell. Like an example, I had this one person reach out to me and they wanted to make enamel pins. And then I figured out, after talking to them for a very long time and like talking about contracts and stuff like that, that they were just completely insane.
So you got to be careful.
Yes, you definitely have to make sure people are legit. So I don't really start talking seriously to people until I start looking at what they do and seeing what their company is. So that's how you kind of learn your lesson from that. Because a lot of people just want to talk to you and make themselves sound more important than they are. And unfortunately, it just wastes your time. And, they're not being honest. So that's not fun either.
And time is money when you're a full-time artist, right?
Yeah, you gotta have time for people that actually spend money on you, and when you make stuff for people, like I have to do a few commissions for people, like paintings to them and stuff, because it's getting to be around the holidays, and people start hitting you up all at once, and they're telling you stuff that they need, stuff that they want, so you don't really have time for people that are just like wasting your time. So I usually keep it pretty short and professional until we start talking dollars, you know what I mean? Like, and then once they pay, then I'm all an open book with everybody, because then that's who wants your art, that's who's serious.
You know it's legit.
Yeah, they're not just like trying to figure out if you're single. So.
Right, and
There's that.
I was gonna say, and for all the listeners, Emi is my wife. Spoiler alert. That's why I'm like, hey, you didn't do that.
So she's not single, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that made sense too. So I was gonna say though, like with the legitimate deals and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we've been through so much stuff, because one thing is, as you're growing and as you're weeding through all the BS, you don't know who is legit at all. So there's been so many things that are an opportunity that we've jumped on. I mean, dived deep into just to see where it could go. And a lot of times it goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But once in a while, it goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and besides all of that, even, we've been rejected. I know I've been rejected by companies probably 1,000 to 2,000 times.
Oh yeah, it's an insane amount of numbers. For every like 100 no's, there's a maybe.
And then we've signed deals that were exciting and great, and we thought was it, and there was money, and then nothing happened. Like they never even made it.
Yeah,
So
which has been weird.
It seems like it might be like a double-edged sword. The more popular you get, the more people start hitting you up, and then such a higher quantity, that means there's a higher quantity of kind of people just looking to take advantage.
True. Yeah.
I mean, I would say though that as we're more established now than we were, a few years ago, we get more respect. We definitely get more respect. So it's been less likely to have BS companies approach us for the most part.
Yeah.
As compared to the old days, I mean, it was just insanity. Like some of the things that we would do, and I mean, there's countless stories, and we could dive into any of those if you want.
I'm sitting funny on this chair because there's a cat perched on the arm of the chair, and I really don't want to knock her off of the arm because it looks pretty cool. I
That's
wish you
fair.
guys could see that.
That's a fair deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're a bit of a cat lady, right?
A bit 4 cats deep.
Well, would you, what percentage of art that you make has cats in it, would you say?
It's high.
It's high. It's a high number. I work them in. I work them in secretly sometimes.
60%, 70%?
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say 70% because
I think it's more like 40. I think it's more like 40.
it's probably like more like 40. Yeah. I usually if I'm doing like an art of a character that isn't mine and there aren't cats involved, cats aren't gonna happen. Like I'm not gonna force them.
Right.
You can't force a cat, Jeff.
Yeah, amen.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that meow?
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Hear it? That
That was perfect. Can't force a cat.
Yeah.
You squeeze the cat to do that.
No, I pet the back of Schmatty's head.
Yes,
Schmatty.
So one question I had, and Gus, I guess you can jump in too. Is there, you think sometimes like, so your guys' art is kind of like, I don't know, you can kind of just make prints of it and do awesome stuff. And I don't know that if you have any experience with this or have any advice, but somebody that wants to get into do like fine arts and get into like, you know, high class galleries and that kind of thing, it seems a little far from what the kind of stuff that you guys are doing. But do you know anyone or have any experience with people who've gone that route and have any insight into kind of the gallery scene?
Yeah, well, here's the thing I've been discovering is that there's a few different tiers of galleries, and level A1, whatever you want to go with, is
steak sauce.
is local galleries who sell cheap art, and it might not even be a gallery, it might be a cafe or a tattoo shop
Or like a coffee shop.
Yeah, it might, well, cafe. So it's something like that. Something like that. Then you have, it's a gallery. It's not anything else. It might have some merchandise, but it's only a gallery, and it's still priced fairly inexpensive. So I would say that's level 2. It's not a bookstore or some kind of other thing. It's just a gallery.
It's a step up.
There's those galleries. There's a lot of them. We've shown in those. And then beyond that is a more established, more respected gallery. And I've been in some of those with group shows mostly. I don't think I might have had one solo in one of those. And then there's a show I'm doing, the one I've been talking about, the 400 works of art I had to get done, which I'm working on my lap right now. It's called Art Basel, and it's in Miami, and it's a pretty respected show, and they do another one in, I think, Japan or Hong Kong. Pretty sure it's Hong Kong. And that's I'd say that's the next tier. And after that tier of like those kind of galleries, the more respected galleries is like the insanity of fine art, where it's, you know, your painting sold for $150,000 or you know, Banksy, that kind of stuff, or well
Banksy friends you.
Yeah, it's just there's those kind of galleries. So I think, and I could be wrong on that. There might be one I'm forgetting about, but it's pretty much, I think there's 4 different tiers, and you have to kind of step up to those. And they're really, you know, people want to say that there's a set path. You have to go to these special art schools,
Mm-hmm.
and that is true to a good degree. But at the same time, in my belief, and this is more of my belief only, I guess, but it's like there's always any path to anything. You know, people always try to say, you can't do this, because I've had people say it to me. You can't do this, you can't do that. But then you do it, and
then they're like, oh, never mind.
And you prove them wrong, and you're like, well, you know, you were wrong. So
my favorite thing to do is prove someone wrong. Not get not get mad, not fight, not brag, not make up anything. Just, it's fuel in the fire, you know? Like, I go, okay. If somebody like goes, you can't do that, and then I do it, and then
yeah, and it's the classic story too. If you look at anything that's really successful, like I just watched a thing on Netflix by Hello Kitty, and it was no one wanted it. Ninja Turtles, nobody wanted it. All these huge brands, I know it's different, still art related, but it's like you get all that reject, and everyone says this is ridiculous, but then it's almost like the opposite because those mindsets are just outdated and they don't understand what the next wave is. There's always a next wave, so I always like to try to be part of the next wave rather than do things how they've been done.
Yeah, you mentioned Ninja Turtles. Quick sidebar. I wrote a letter to Steven Spielberg. I invented Battletoads before it was a thing.
What?
I told him that you need to do Ninja Turtles, but instead of turtles, they're frogs.
Oh my
And that
God.
was that was my idea as a elementary school kid. Because sometimes you got to write letters to like.
And wait,
celebrities.
and who did it? Was it Steven Spielberg that did them?
No, I doubt it. Yeah, Battletoads. I think Battletoads was like a video game first, and then
Yeah.
became like a TV series and had toys and stuff. But I was just a stupid kid. I was like, how about I'm smart and instead of turtles, it's toads.
Steven Spielberg do Ninja Turtles?
But then somebody did that anyway, and an adult came up with that idea.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that see, that proves you have ideas that are worth something. They're valuable ideas, you know.
Mhm.
I also thought I invented the alternator in a car when I
Wow.
learned about like turning wheels into like energy and stuff. I was like, why don't we just hook something up to the wheels that turns into electricity? And then my roommate at the time, he was a car guy. He was like, yeah, that's called an alternator. It exists. So, but
You're
man,
like,
I
why is
thought I
everyone
invented
taking my
something.
ideas?
We came up with this crazy idea for a cartoon, and we pitched it around. We had an agent, a well-respected agent. He was the head of Marvel Animation and some other things. And we
Oh
took,
God, I know what story you're gonna say.
yeah, and we took around this idea and came very close to getting a deal with Disney.
It was Disney XD. It came really close. That was the one where I had said that we had I had the whole room laughing, and they were like, "Congratulations, congratulations," and I
Yeah.
was like, "Wow."
Yeah, and I remember I was kind of irritated. I was like, "Don't congratulate us
Let us
if
if
it's
we're not doing it.
yeah, like unless it's definitely happening." One guy in the room was like, kind of like, I don't know.
He was
He's
like, "I will be the reason it doesn't happen."
So it didn't happen, and we kind of gave up on the project for complex reasons that we won't dive into today. But we were in the movie theaters maybe 2 years after it, and then this movie came out. Ours was for a series. It was really similar.
like
Um,
so freaking spot on. It was like some of the ideas were like, how is that even possible?
yeah, because it's such a
It was
random
about
idea.
it was about an abandoned amusement park that a little girl like fixes up, and that was like the damn movie.
And then in
premise.
ours, there was these bunnies that would ruin everything, and in the movie, I think
It was monkeys. It was monkeys.
yeah, that would ruin everything, like a bunch of little monkeys compared
Little
to
creatures, like you know how like we like to do little creatures and stuff.
Yeah. Now I looked it up in the detail and I saw that they didn't. There's no way they took our idea. It just kind of shows like no matter how random and weird your ideas get,
There's
other
someone else
people-
out there in the universe that's got the same
Yeah,
vein of.
it's like the collective consciousness in a sense.
He always loves saying that word. I was waiting for him to like bring it up in this.
There
I was like,
we
how are
go.
we gonna say collective consciousness today?
Well, there was that one movie that came out where it was a guy who the Beatles never existed,
Yeah.
and then so he's the only one that knows about the Beatles or whatever. And apparently there was, and I could be wrong on this, there was some like indie film that came out like before that. I don't know if it was years or months or whatever. That was the exact same concept, and some of the scenes were the exact same. Where like, oh, the first thing he does is jump on Google, and when he Googles Beetle, it's just the insect comes up, and you can't find anything about the band. But
Yeah, I thought that had been done before too. Yeah.
yeah, because like when I first heard about that movie, like I heard the plot for it. Like it was like, oh, like the Beatles didn't exist. The first thing I thought of was, oh, if you jumped on Google and Googled it, you would just find the bug. So
Yeah.
with something like that, if your idea is, oh, there's a band that never existed, I feel like you'd have some similarities, but it always makes you wonder if there's, besides collective consciousness, if there's something where, ideas get spread, or you hear somebody like mention something like, oh, I have this little idea for a movie. I might not do it or whatever. And then it gets passed along. Like you said, you went in for that meeting with, those Disney people,
Mhm.
what are the chances that, they had that all written down and they like sell that stuff or give it to, some other little company that sent it to some other little company, and it's like telephone where you say it to someone and it changes a little bit, you say it to another one, it changes a little bit, and then it works its way down.
That's
So
definitely possible.
I don't know.
Like,
I mean,
No, I think the timeline of it, I don't think it would have been possible because I definitely looked into that.
yeah,
The company.
I think he was like
It was just and the good news about it all was the movie was horrible. No one even thinks about it or cares about it.
I don't even remember. I don't even know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
most people don't. It was in theaters. It didn't make much money, so
it was
you
it was
can't
like an yeah.
you can't even sue for that. You only can sue things that make a lot of money. You can't
Yeah.
even if we had a lawsuit, which I know we didn't.
No.
So, but our idea is different enough that if we ever did the series, we
I
wouldn't
think it
be
would be like better.
Yeah, I don't think we would do the series, but who knows?
Do you think that's something you have to be careful about? If let's say you have a good idea, or at least you think you have a good idea, how do you go about putting it into motion without making sure it gets legs without your permission?
Uh,
Well, I was gonna say, well, you want to take that?
Yeah,
you do it.
Emmy, you're the guest. You
Oh.
can take this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, you could either, if you have connections with different companies, or if you have an agent, you talk to them about it, and then you sign a little piece of paper that I love called the NDA, where it's a non-disclosure agreement. That means I'm going to tell you something, you can't talk about it, or I'll sue you. You can't share this information or anything unless we both agree where you're sharing it and all that stuff. So you have an idea. So say I had an idea for top hats for cats, and I wanted to get it somewhere, a top hat cat show or something. And my agent, who has connections, would sign an NDA. He'd read it, and then he'd either go, "This is genius," or "I'll do it. I'll represent you," or "I won't." Then you make meetings, and then before the meeting set up, typically you have the company sign the NDA. So they're, saying like, "Oh, we're not going to like take your idea and make it later without your permission." Like say like, "Oh, we're not interested." But then they also have you sign their NDA where they go, "By coincidence, we work on so many things. We might be working on something that's very similar to your idea. So you can't sue us if we do it because we might be working on it already." Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword with that, I think.
know.
So it's kind of just like running the gambit.
Well, I say don't worry about it because most companies are not going to do that. They don't want to ever get sued or have any chance of getting sued.
Yeah, true.
And like, yeah, there is tons of ideas out there. You just have to do your thing your way. I mean, you can look at classic examples like Bug's Life came out right around the same time as Ants, and there was all these films that were so similar.
Like Cars and the other one was
it's
Cars.
It's always going to happen. So I think the most important thing you could do is do your project the best, put in things in your project that no one else could do. And no matter what, even if they make it, like I said, that one thing was made, it was similar. It was terrible, and then it doesn't affect me. And if we ever did our own thing, I feel like it would rise to the surface, kind of like how I think Bug's Life did over Ants, that kind of situation. So you just got to put your best energy into it, not get caught up in the fear. I've seen so many people never share any of their great ideas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's
because
sad,
they're
kind
afraid. Yeah, they're just afraid, and they're locked in fear, and then they never go anywhere.
And then they just like live in a basement and they're sad, and then they die, and people find it, and they're like, "Wow, that was a good idea."
Yeah, but I guess if you have one good idea, then you're doing something wrong, right? I mean, if you're afraid to give away an idea, and you're worried you'll never have another good idea, then you need to be a little bit more creative, I would imagine. Like, you probably should not rely on having one good idea, right?
Yeah, that's also like dangerous. I mean, it works out for some people, like
Garfield.
You're saying John Davis is a one-hit wonder? Is that?
I think so. Isn't he? I mean,
did he make anything else of note?
I saw him once in real life, and
wow, here comes trophy. I'm sending you a trophy from Amazon.
He was carrying around a Garfield doll.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
He's still alive, John Davis?
Yeah,
not
he is.
now.
Was he really like protects his IP, right? I feel
he's got a team. I mean, he's built a great thing. And
Gumby. That was one.
John Davis did Gumby?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about I'm jumping ship about like people who have like just one good idea, because not only did the guy who make Gumby and pass away, that was his only idea, then his son took over his legacy and was like Gumby crazy, and then he passed away, and that was sad because he was a fun character to be around, because we saw him at that one
He
business
was
show we
awesome.
do, and we said that there should be a movie about him called Son of Gumby, because he was just so Gumby serious. It could have been its own movie.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it would have been a really good documentary. He did have a documentary, but it was not it was more of the like great interview kind of thing, but you don't really get to know the person. And I
Yeah,
think
you
if they
sit next
had,
to him for 3 days at a licensing show, and you really get to know the person.
yeah,
He like
I think it would have been an amazing documentary called.
yeah.
I think I told it to him. I was like, you should make him called Son of Gumby, and
He
because
told me he
oh,
told
go
me I
ahead.
reminded him of his sister who had committed suicide.
Oh,
And I was like, great.
well, that might have been nice for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a
He
cool
did.
dude.
He was really cool. He was really entertaining. I really loved being around him, so I was really sad to hear that he did pass away. What was it, like 2 years ago, Gus?
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like really unexpected too. I was like, that's terrible.
He did love eating gummy Gumbies. That's all I ever saw
Gumby
him eat.
Gumbies. And they were life size, like how Gumby would be to a person. Like he
Yeah,
was
they're
pretty
like
big, and he was pounding them.
you could fit one in your hand.
Yeah.
Like one, you grab it, and he would eat those gummies.
That's a commitment. Then.
Yeah.
It was like really, yeah. It was a commitment. He
So
would like chew it for like half an hour.
but that made me think about what I'm leaving behind, and I don't want to leave behind one property and have my kids working shows and you know, uh,
Being like, yeah.
like I definitely want to have a lot of things out there, and I don't know, for some reason I've never been set on one property.
Yeah.
People have
Yeah,
told me I should though. They said like just do one thing, stick
Yeah.
with it.
It's
doesn't
too
sound very
stupid to do
fulfilling.
one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not fulfilling, and yeah, especially when you have kids, you want to like leave behind like something. Your hope is that they'll be okay when you're gone, you know?
Yeah, so even if you had a big Gumby hit, you feel like
Yeah, when we had a
you would use
Gumby
that
hit.
Gumby, you'd take that Gumby money and keep on trying to do bigger and better stuff, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think that's what you got to do.
Yeah, that for sure. I think that's your chance to do it. And some people have like Jim Henson and many others, but a lot of people just get that one thing and they ride
And
it out.
Disney too. He took. I think he did. He was an good example with the Snow White, and then just powering forward.
Yeah, he did some moves.
Yeah, well, Disney owns half the world now, so that's something good happened out of that, right?
Yeah.
Disney's just a one-hit wonder, he just took over half the world.
No.
He did a lot.
Oh, and this
Message.
just in,
Here we
tophatsforcats.com is taken already, so
Oh
that's
God.
yeah, you should have.
Wasn't it a commercial?
Was it?
I thought that was a commercial.
There's no way in hell that Top Hats for Cats was a commercial on TV.
If it wasn't, it is now. So
Yeah, now it is probably in like
Well,
Japan.
you send those ideas out into the ether, they get sucked up.
That
One
they
could
do.
only hope. One could only hope. Sorry, I feel like we got all like sidetracked with Disney and Gumby.
Hey, there's no such thing as a sidetrack on the Creator Podcast with Jeff and Gus.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Sorry.
We legally have to
Sorry.
say the whole thing.
That is, yeah, that's
Whenever we say it.
TM.
Yeah.
TM.
Otherwise, we won't get that sponsorship money from my buddies Disney, Wink, and Gumby.
Wink, wink. And Gumby. Gumby.
Sponsors, gotta mention them.
Yeah. Wink.
So Emmy, you got a clothing line coming up apparently. So that sounds exciting. Do you have any other big things in the work that you're allowed to talk about, or any aspirations?
Oh God. Aspirations. Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, we're always working on a lot of stuff that some of it we can't talk about yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that we were thinking about opening a store, like an actual store.
A brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Yep, B and
Um,
M, the thing that
y-
people
don't
aren't
say
really
that.
doing.
Don't say B and M in the same thing. That doesn't sound good.
Brick and mortar. What is that? What else does that sound like?
BM stands for bowel movement.
Oh, okay. All right.
Um, but so that's like something, that once we got started, obviously we got to find people to
We
help
have
run it.
yeah. I mean, like we're kind of putting it in the motion. Like it's almost like we kind of have to do it. So I think we're doing it. I mean, it's kind of I've had a brick and mortar a long time ago, which I probably mentioned on the podcast. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure you did. What was remind the folks what the name of that store was?
It's called Monsters of Bulging Elbows.
Exactly. Nice.
Mhm.
Moby for short, and at the same time, right around there, and didn't realize it. Moby, the artist, came out spelled with a Y rather than an E. It was weird. But yeah.
Yep. Nothing weirder.
No.
So you're thinking so this brick and mortar you're talking about, Emmy, is that something similar to what Gus used to have, like kind of like lots of art and just kind of random general cool stuff?
I think it's gonna be, more than just like I feel like his old store didn't have too much cohesiveness to it. I think it was more punk rock DIY. I'd like this to actually look like a store.
Yeah, I think I want this to feel a little bit more like a boutique.
Yeah, I don't want
Slash
like,
art gallery.
yeah, like I there's gonna be art in it, but I don't think the main focus is gonna be like an art gallery. I don't want to do that. I want
No.
it to be like a boutique type thing with like stuff that people actually like want. You know how sometimes you go in a boutique and you're like, why would anybody own a boutique? Like it'd be cool
Yeah.
stuff with like products that we make and other products too that are things that people enjoy and would like want, so that it could be like a really unique experience, but not such an experience that you feel like once you go there once you don't have to go there again.
Yeah.
Okay. And is this news? Are we dropping this live right now? Is this the premiere of this idea? Have you mentioned this on Instagram or any other social
No,
media?
we haven't, because we're still figuring it out ourselves,
Yeah, we didn't
honestly.
mention. I
Okay.
mean, there is like a 10% chance it won't happen. I'm just throwing it out there because I hate when people say I'm doing it and then they don't.
Oh yeah.
So there
Oh
is like
yeah.
a
Yeah, no
10.
promises, no commitments
No,
here.
no
Yeah,
It's just
commitments, no promises. It's just I was
Um,
just trying to think of something that I could
but
talk about that.
yeah, it makes sense, and we're excited for it, and definitely we want people to like when I started my old store. The main thing I thought of is there's not many places I want to go to that I get excited about. And that's what I wanted to do with that shop. And till this day, anyone who remembers the shop, they'll say that was their favorite place as a kid, or because mostly it was like kids in their teens back then that are now adults and they really loved it. And I think it would have done well I didn't shut it down, but I had to at the time. So yeah, we'll see what happens with it, but
hmm
could be cool.
Still figuring it out. It's still in the oh god, like the early ass stages.
The infant stage.
The baby stage.
wow, those are some nice voices, guys. Hey, speaking of voices, do you guys do any voiceover work?
Oh yeah, I do the voice of Monster Girl on Fright Show Fighter, the popular game that should be on
Okay.
iOS at some point.
Well, I wasn't looking for the shameless plug, but I know, Emmy, you've done like voices for cartoons and stuff that you guys have made together, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, Creep Tunes
Creep
is
Tunes, I do the little girl's voice that's with the cat.
She talks like this. She says something like this to the cat or something, and then I have to talk like her all day.
And then Monster Girl, that's harder for me to do because I haven't heard her voice in a little bit.
Wait a minute! I just realized something. I think we have another guest on the show. Is Skullnum around? Is he around?
Let me see.
Can you see?
The Skullnum's around.
He coughs a
It's
lot.
harder.
She's got laryngitis.
We made a plush doll, and I purposely made the plush doll like cough at one of the things that when it talks.
Yeah,
It's a one-off plush doll prototype that we own.
Yeah, because it's hard to do his voice, especially if I'm in a room with a heater like I am.
Yeah. I heard that yawn.
God damn it.
What else was there that she's done?
I did stuff on like Land of Odd, that one show, but Jeff Brown, that makes him a voice actor too, because he was.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah,
on
Land of Odd got accepted some festivals, and hopefully one day it'll get picked up. I'm supposed to have an agent pitching that show around, but he's not been getting back to me, which is the same thing he did to me like 9 years ago when I first met him.
Oh, is it? Oh, the guy that we talked to that when we were going up to Canada once, and he was all like, "We're gonna do it."
Yeah,
That
let's not say his name.
I don't even remember his name, so I can't.
Okay, I know his
I'm looking forward to sign autographs for that when that comes out.
Yeah.
You know, because of the voiceover work I did on it.
You did. I thought you did a great job on it.
Yeah.
Get the Zabbler. At the face. And so, like, voiceover kind of work, is that stuff like you've just, I mean, you didn't go to like Juilliard or any kind of acting school, so stuff like that's just out of necessity, you kind of learn and teach yourself how to do funny voices and stuff, right?
I think it's from being an only child, and I be in my toy room area all day when I was little and by myself. If I wasn't putting a shirt on the dog, I was doing voices in my head constantly to like play toys to entertain myself. So, you know, and I think the first people that really appreciated my voiceover acting were the kids. And I would do voices there when they were little. I used to do these characters called Duck and Rabbit, and I would just do hand puppets. It was my hands, and I would do it on long car rides to keep them from losing their minds, being bored. And that was when I was like, oh, these voices really are kind of fun. And then I just kept like making new ones up, and I think we just used it, yeah, like how you said, out of necessity. Like, oh, we need this voice right now. Okay, you do it.
Yeah, it's fun.
And your cats have voices as well, right?
Oh yeah. Chrono talks like this, but I make this terrible face when I do the voice. It's very weird, but
Chrono talks like this, and Chrono goes, "Oh, I want to get the tweets. Why do you make me wait for my tweets every morning?"
And then Chernobyl talks like this because he's deaf.
Oh, Chernobyl.
And Dirge, mostly, he is just a brooding guy. I don't really have a voice for him, and I don't really have a voice. Vladdy, I always think, just talks like a proper lady. Like, I just think she talks like this if she has to.
Yeah.
But I it's mostly the voices for Chrono and Chernobyl.
We haven't got paid for voice work yet.
No, that would be awesome.
So you're not making a living as a voiceover artist?
Don't quit my day job. Hi-oh.
That is a possibility, though. Any aspiring voiceover actors listening, you know, I work at a company where we do 3D models and 3D animations, but we always have to hire voice actors to do voices. So, and I know there's a lot of different voiceover work out there that people are in need for. It's not just like TV shows and stuff. There's, you know, radio things and commercials and just little snippets of like interactives and things like that. So I know a lot of the stuff we get is from voices.com, where people put up like audition stuff. And really, it's like any, like, you know, if you want to be an artist or whatever, if you want to try voiceover work, grab a microphone and, you know, try and practice and throw your stuff up on there. If anybody wants to hire you, they'll hire you.
I mean, yeah, we get job offers all the time because people love our voices on this. You know what I mean?
I believe it.
Nike said, hey, can you guys do a spot for us? And we said, yep, too busy.
Too busy.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I mean, that's understandable. Oh, God. Sorry. Can you hear my paintbrush in the background?
Is that what's up with you people? You just sit there and you work? Is that what life as a full-time artist is? No.
I'm literally painting right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I told you I had that 400 painting thing going on.
Yeah, you got deadlines.
So that's almost done with. I'm shipping out Friday, like it or not.
Yeah, I can't wait for it to be effing over.
And but yeah, I mean, it's not always that way, but things have definitely gotten busier, and some days I just feel like my neck is really sore because I'm constantly looking down. and it sucks, which I never had happen in my
Because like
20-year
artists have the
run.
worst posture in the world. If you think about it, we're always like hunched over painting. It's not like the best posture. I mean, when you're pumpkin carving, Jeff, I feel like you're probably not able to have the best posture either. Or am I wrong? Am I just assuming?
Well, usually what'll happen is I'll start standing up
Mm-hmm.
and hacking a bunch of details, and then I'll sit down because I get tired of standing,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's usually how it goes. But it's generally in front of me. I'm not really in any kind of weird way. But
True.
maybe you should tape all your paintings to the ceiling and then lay on a really high ladder,
I like it.
and then
That sounds like a great idea.
call that lay down painting.
Yeah, lay down painting. Like how people take those bicycles that they're like leaned back in reverse.
I'm surprised no artist has ever done that. That's famous. I'm surprised.
Yeah, like the guy that did that Sistine Chapel thing or anything.
Yeah, he really didn't do it that way.
Michelangelo?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not how he really did it.
How'd he do it? With
Michelangelo,
levitation?
he didn't paint on the ceiling?
No, what he would do is he would paint through a pipe.
Paint through a pipe.
What are you talking about?
I just make this stuff up.
He would paint through a pipe. That sounds like
You had me for a minute. I was like,
yeah, I was
Did
like,
I?
what?
Did I?
this must be an old technique. This,
It's a very old
It's called
technique.
pissy paint.
paint through a pipe.
Paint pishing. If that's what I do.
Pishing. Stop looking at me, cat. I don't got nothing for you.
Oh wow! Never a dull moment with you guys. I bet your household is wonderful.
It is. We definitely never fight and always get along.
Every second is
Every
pure
second.
bliss.
You ever see that movie with Tom Cruise where he says, what does he say, Gus, that we always say? It's
I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
another day in paradise. That's what he says. Every day.
Says that.
Every day he wakes up because he repeats the same life. He goes, another day in paradise.
Are you thinking that's Groundhog's Day? That's Bill Murray.
No. It's a little Tom
I think
Cruise
you're thinking
in the
of
future.
no, I think you're thinking of well, maybe he said that.
No,
There's
he
a movie
says that
called-
in the movie where he's like,
There's
there's like 50 of them and they can't leave that boundary area, and he's like married to his best friend instead of his
Whoa!
wife.
Spoiler alert!
It
Day
doesn't
After
matter.
Tomorrow?
It's Tom Cruise. And oh my God, are you messing with me? That makes me so
Equilibrium?
agitated. No.
Is that the name of a movie?
we get it. Yeah.
You know what? Remember like Bugs Life Ants? Remember Dante's Peak and or Dante's Peak and Volcano?
Yes.
No,
Did that have Tom Cruise in it?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Pierce Brosnan was in the one.
I'm so
There's
lost.
a name.
I took it out a little bit. We were talking movies and you mentioned Bugs Life, so I got excited.
Yeah.
That's a good.
You went back to Bug's Life. It's like you were thinking about it the whole time.
He's a 3D animation guy. He's got to go back to Bug's Life.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I'll tell you what, I used to work overnights in a large retail chain. And
Really?
we had a DVD player set up, and I would put Bugs Life on loop every single night, and we would work 8-hour shifts. So I've seen Bugs Life, or at least listened to it, probably over 100 times.
See, I was thinking Toy Story. I was thinking that Randy Newman guy that's like, you got a friend in me.
Have
Did
you
sing
seen?
anything in Bug's Life?
I don't think so. Have you seen Ants, Jeff?
Yeah, I've seen it at least once. I can picture. I know it had
Kind of
It's
stuff.
got Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
That's
and
a terrible impersonation. I'm so sorry.
I'm not much of a Woody Allen fan. I don't know if I'll get skewered for that, but
That's okay.
you know,
He's
He
got
just doesn't
he's got a lot of haters. He's got his lovers and his haters, but he's got a lot of haters.
I don't hate him. I just maybe I haven't seen enough of his stuff. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I like some of his films.
It's a good diplomatic response.
of mine? Or
No,
his?
Jeff's not
That's
yours.
what I go for. I go for diplomacy.
Well,
Mhm.
You know,
he might run for president in like 2087,
You gotta be Switzerland.
and then they'll pull this up. They'll go, "Hey, on the podcast, you said you hated Woody Allen." They go, "No, I didn't." You know.
Are you talking
And
about
then
me? I thought you were saying Woody Allen was going to be president.
That would be impressive.
Well,
If
once
that
you have
happens-
technology would do
Yep.
brain transplants. That's all it takes.
It'll
Mhm.
happen. Oh, man, his speech would be great.
You'd be like, you
Did you ever think what it would be like to be in another person's body? So
all
like
the time.
like like Freaky Friday, where like
Yes.
they switch bodies or whatever. The
Yeah.
first thing that I would think about is how weird the inside of my mouth feels with my tongue.
Oh my God, I never thought
Because
of that.
you're so used to your own teeth and like your own anatomy of the inside of your mouth.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you switch bodies, you'd be like, holy crap, what's wrong with my mouth? Like, these teeth are not where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
No, I
Is that
feel like you're
weird? Does
saying
anybody
that
else think that?
well, I think you
That's
sort of
the
had
first
some,
time I heard the teeth thing.
I think you think that from different personal experiences, maybe. You know, of like.
Yeah,
just
like
from-
that time you switched out of your body and you're in somebody else's body and you
Yeah,
chopped the teeth
yeah.
off.
Remember you did that?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Don't play with witchcraft, kids. Do not play
Yeah.
with witchcraft.
Stay away from Ouija boards.
But also, I think you would see colors differently as well.
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
We know that for a fact because me and her see colors differently.
And I'll get like agitated. I'll be like, "That's pink," and he's like, "It is orange," and I'd be like, "There is no orange in that, sir."
Or those stupid online things that get popular.
Yeah, where it's like, "Is the shirt purple or black?" And then you're like, "Ah." We always see the exact opposite. Whatever he sees, I will see it in a different color when it's
Well,
one
obviously
of those dumb channels.
there is one truth to it, but you're allowed to see it either way. It's all based on how your brain perceives it. So both answers are correct for any of those challenges.
Right, but it's the weird that our brain always perceives it in the like. I can only see it one way. If somebody's like, "No, try to see it as white," I'm like, "It's not. It's blue."
Yeah, yeah.
Like my brain refuses.
It's hard to switch sometimes.
Yeah, it'd be fun to switch though. It'd be a fun game.
I would.
I could
We actually
switch.
had a joke about people switching bodies, something with like Shaquille O'Neal or.
Yeah, this is weird. I don't know if
Oh
I've
no,
ever
LeBron
told you.
James. LeBron James. It was LeBron
Yeah,
James.
what happened was I was with my friend eating dinner, and basketball was on TV, and we said, you know, what would you do if I said to him, what would you do if you woke up and you were LeBron James?
No,
you
you
know.
said, "What if me and you had to share LeBron James' body and we were both
Yeah.
inside of LeBron
We were
James?"
both stuck inside, half and half.
But you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell anybody you were in his body.
Yeah.
Like you had to beat.
So what we agreed to doing is we agreed that what we would do is give our families duffel bags full of cash we would deliver.
Like show
and
up to the
hand-deliver.
house, show up to their wives' houses with duffel bags filled with
Yeah.
cash. Since
And we were getting really elaborate and having a good time talking about it. And then about a year after that, my mind almost was blown because on TV as a commercial was LeBron James with duffel bags of cash
filled with cash
going
going
to
to people's houses.
going to these white people strangers' houses and just dropping it off. It was a game show. I was like, what the hell is happening?
It was
Hey,
so.
And
Didn't I see it first, Gus, on TV, and I freaked
Yeah.
out and I started calling you. And that's such a weird phone call to get like a year later when you forgot that conversation. And I'm like, LeBron James is on money with duffel bags full of cash going to people's houses. And he's like, what?
Yeah. So
and it's funny too because at that point there has to be two people inside of him doing that. Which is the weird part.
Yep, a future version of me and my friend Chris. No, I think that goes to show that there's something weird with the world, at least in my eyes. I know there could be a scientific explanation, but just weird things can happen, and like I don't know. It almost reminds me of like, yeah, this game is not what we're told it is.
Mm-hmm.
Matrix.
Well, I'm always the permanent skeptic, and I always will be.
Yeah, you're always the guy.
I sent you a video last night. Did you see it? I mean, I
Oh
already
God,
have
is
my
it the
own.
car in the tree?
Yeah,
Send
did you
that
see that,
one.
Jeff?
There's a tree going through the middle of a car. Is that what it is?
I said it was an
Yeah.
art installation.
Yeah, it's
That's
an art
right,
installation.
That's what
Oh, is
I
it?
said too.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it,
an
Jeff,
art
for real?
installation, and it was actually it is, and it has. I want to say it was in Germany or something, and it was actually I don't know if it was recently, but somebody burnt it to the ground.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
God. Why?
Yeah, somebody decided. I don't
They
know.
probably thought it was anti-God or something. Like
How is
the-
that anti-God? It's a car with.
They
trees
probably
in the
didn't. They
middle.
probably thought it just happened. And it was demonic, is my guess.
I'm not sure. I thought I read it was like drug dealers or something, but I could be wrong.
What?
I don't know these kids
Well,
nowadays.
that was my first guess. I said it's either a glitch in the because my friend Chris sent to me. I said it's either a glitch in the Matrix or it's a Banksy. That's what I told him, and I guess it was some other artist.
Yeah,
I said it looked like an art installation. It was too clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw that today or yesterday. I don't know, but yeah. See, I don't assume my reality of anything. I'll instantly do research before I
Yeah.
make any assumptions about anything that's supernatural or other earthly.
Do you watch
That's just
that
how I
Supernatural show?
roll. With you mean the TV show called Supernatural?
Supernatural, yeah.
Yeah, with Dean and Sam Winchester. Of course I do.
Oh, so you're one of those people. Okay.
One of those people? What do they call it? Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm a Dean
Supernatural
girl.
fans.
Supernaturalers. I'm a couple. I'm actually a few seasons behind. I gotta catch up, so I'm a little ashamed of that. But
That's embarrassing.
it is embarrassing, and it's coming towards the end of the episode here, and usually, tradition around here is a little segment we call "Ask Me Anything." With our first guest, is what's the procedure for that, Gus?
Well, I'm going to say we definitely have to ask her anything. And I think what we should do
I was
is...
going to say,
sounds
I
good.
didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of us should do it, maybe? Or do you think we both should get a shot? Or how about this? We ask her a question, and then she gets to pick and ask us a question, right? So it's 1-1.
I get to pick who's I like better, so like...
No. You get to ask one of us one question, and we will ask you one question. One of us will.
A lot of pressure.
We make it up as we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just made up.
Okay, let's do it. I've got
So
a
Jeff,
cat in my lap.
Jeff, I'll let you ask the question.
Okay, because I've got one prepared.
Oh Lord, I didn't know this was a thing. No one forewarned me.
Yeah, well, I forgot about it. I'm not prepared. Do you ever, like, when you're driving and there's a license plate in front of you, do you ever try and make up things that you, like words and stuff you see in the license plate? Is that just me, or is that something?
I have done that before.
Like, if you see like 3 letters, you like make up like a sentence or a word?
I try to think of what that word might be.
Like if it's a vanity plate?
Yeah.
But if it's not a vanity plate, do you just you don't care about license plates, do you?
I guess that's just you, Jeff.
Oh man, what a terrible question.
Jeff,
all right, Gus, what do you
that was the
got?
question.
Jeff, I've done stuff like that, so I'm not going to completely shut you down. Now,
I'm
Emi,
not
you get
shutting
to
down.
ask.
I just never done it.
You get to ask one of us any question, and you probably want to ask Jeff because why ask me a question, you know?
Yeah, I ask you a question. I see your face every day.
It's a lot of pressure for you.
Yes, it is. It's like a lot of random stuff. Okay, I have a question. If I have to do the ask one question thing, if this is part of the thing, do you ever?
This is like truth or dare.
If you yeah, I know. If you ever have to go use the restroom at night, do you ever go sometimes in the bathroom and it's dark and you start thinking like, what if demons are real? What if there's a demon in the room with me right now? What if his face just shows up and he just starts screaming and is really scary and you almost give yourself a panic attack and you have to like shine your phone light or like turn on the light so you don't get too freaked out? Do you ever do that?
Well, first I would say this is the reason I invented glow-in-the-dark bathroom, patent pending.
Yeah, that was last episode.
You paint the whole bathroom glow-in-the-dark, you flip the light switch on, and then the whole bathroom is lit up. But second, I'll say that usually only happens if I've just watched like a really scary movie, where your brain is racing and you think like Pennywise is hiding in your sink or something like that. I would say it used to happen when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there's goblins and monsters every single place you go.
Yeah.
And if you had to go into like the basement, that was the end of the world. Like obviously someone's gonna grab your ankles under the stairs. But as an adult, not really. My biggest fear is like I'll find some guy sitting on the couch or something, not like a monster, but like
He's a regular old human.
Yeah,
at least he's just sitting on the couch. That's not that threatening.
They'll have to like grab the nearest baseball bat or kitchen knife or something. But so great question.
Okay, good.
We like it.
So yeah, we're talking about living as a full-time artist. I'm hoping that people got some insight into being a full-time artist and noticing that you don't have to be a stick in the mud or be miserable all the time to be a full-time artist. You can actually be a cool person and enjoy life.
You think I'm cool?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say, but yeah.
I just said I think demons try to get me when I go to the bathroom at night.
I think you're probably in the majority there, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe.
I feel
Well, fun.
about
Well, first official guests in the bag, and we're getting some other ones lined up. Great show. Thanks for coming to our podcast home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Thank you, Emi, for being our first guest. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And just so the listeners know, where can listeners find more info about you and your art?
Listeners can find me if they type Emi Boz on Instagram. I should be the first one to show up. You can see all my glorious art, and you can find me on Facebook as Emi Boz, and then if you go to emiboz.com, it will say it is under construction, as it has for the past 5 years. I need to update my link.
And maybe tophatsforcats.com.
And Top Hats. No, you said it was taken.
Oh, well, we can buy them out.
Okay, yeah.
Let's buy them out.
Let's buy them out.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for listening, and catch us on the next one.
Meow.